registered voter in the state of Texas, and you are not going to get up in November and vote against a religious zealot bigot who has went after our community for years.
Interesting.
If you are not going to vote against Ted Cruz, then I'm questioning your Islam in this moment.
Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So, as some of you probably saw in that brief little video, a short little clip, and I'm guessing this is from probably a couple of years ago, in which Sister Linda Sarsour was questioning a person's Islam because they were not going to oppose a particular candidate, of course a candidate of her choosing. If you did not oppose that candidate, then your Islam essentially would be called into question. And this dovetails with the video that I made the other day in calling attention to, again, the closing of the American Muslim religious mind, the capitulation to secularism, where in many ways now the secular is seen as the sacred. Right? The secular is seen as the sacred, and it becomes the criterion by which revelation has to pass muster. It becomes the acid test to determine not only the veracity of revelation, but it also becomes the acid test and the interpretive rubric as to how to act that out. Needless to say, this is problematic, troubling, least of which for the fact that it's based upon the ever-shifting sands of a set of tenets that seem to change on a frequent and regular basis in the way that they seem to add another letter to the group of the alphabet brigade there. And so what I really want to highlight again is to show an inconsistency of thought in those who are given a platform in our community, often by other orgs, other institutions within our community, let alone, forget about what the non-Muslim community does in terms of, the media and social media, that's something different. But why is it that, the organizations like CARE or other organizations, and I'm not picking on CARE here alone, I'm just using it as an example, Mass Care, why is this individual and those of their ilk, why are they given a platform to essentially do a form of secular takfir on Muslims, attempting to bully them, cajole them, and to browbeat them with their own kind of secular version of fire and brimstone to vote for a particular candidate or vote for a particular bill or vote in a particular block. And yet, if myself, as an imam or any other imam or scholar, were to so brazenly question a person's Islam, let's say they shave their beard, let's say they don't wear hijab, let's say they don't pray, let's say they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, let's say that they are a homosexual, let's say if we were to take the stage and to question these people's Islam, and in fact, in some of those, there would actually be some legitimate grounds to question people's Islam, we would be roasted. We would be labeled, ironically, as the very same thing that Linda is talking about in that little clip, which was, Ted Cruz, who's a religious zealot and a bigot. Well, she is just simply, and those of her ilk, are just simply secular zealots and secular bigots who have something weird going on internally in themselves and with their identity, with their so-called Islam, in which there's some kind of not only conflict going on inside, but it just seems to be, again, some deep-seated inconsistencies of thought. And I find this really troubling that she would go on stage and browbeat people that if you don't vote for this particular candidate, that you, well, number one, who are you to call anybody's Islam into question? What do you know about Islam? And what are the parameters in Islam for calling a person's Islam into question? Do you know what that is? Probably not. So once again, I think it's high tide now that the Muslim community starts to demand a better qualified leadership, people that know how to navigate our existence here, know how to navigate the political landscape, but are not going to do so at such an expense that now they begin to interpret the religion through this kind of secular gobbledygook quagmire. And that what is prioritized is Qala Allah and Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They prioritize what has God said, right, and what has the Messenger said. I think it's high time that we push back on this, because there is no good outcome from this. There is no good that's going to come from the increased secularization. And I know that there have been some that have been kind of, advocating for a kind of, secular Islam. I don't think we have to worry about that. I think that's already here, and and it doesn't look good, and we don't need any more of it. And so we should be pushing back on these people taking front and center stage, speaking on behalf of us, making decisions on behalf of us, without our permission, and most certainly and most importantly without the requisite knowledge to do so. So I do send this as a direct message to Linda Sarsour. Ittaqillah, have a little fear of God, which I sincerely hope that you will consider this. Have a little fear of God, and maybe you should reconsider whether you're the best person to be doing what you're doing, or that even what you're doing needs to be done in the first place. So anyway, enough of all of that. I am so happy that I can have a cup of coffee in the morning. وصلي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. See you in the next one.